Sairam to all of you. Welcome to this session of the study of D and F block elements. Now, in this chapter we have already completed around 3 segments, which was the introductory part where we discussed about the position of these elements. Later on we checked out some of its physical properties like atomic size, ionic sizes in nature. Now, moving forward, we will see some more physical properties of these compounds like ionization enthalpy, oxidation states and electrode potentials. Now, all the studies are going to be in reference with the 3D elements which are present. We have different D block series 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, but our study is more or less going to be synchronized around 3D elements. But before we go to this, I hope you remember that we had some questions in the earlier segment. So, let us first see the answers for those segments, and I hope that all of you must have solved those. So, let us see the first question now. What are transition elements? We have already discussed earlier that this D block elements come under transition elements, but the last D block element, which comprises of zinc, cadmium, mercury, we do not call it as D block element because they have a fully filled D orbital 3D10, 4D10, 5D10. So, when they are fully filled, we do not consider them as transition elements, but still they are present in D block. So, that is why the definition goes that they are the elements which have partially filled D orbitals, partially. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, anything 1 to 9, but not the completely filled part of 10. The second one, mention the general electronic configuration of D block elements. We know very well that D block elements in total have 10 elements in them, which will be succeeded after the filling of the s orbital. Therefore, the configuration is going to be n minus 1 D 1 to 10 ns 1 to 2. Let us now see the third question in this part. Mention any 4 physical properties of transition elements. Remember that these transition elements are in the center of the periodic table. On one side you have S block, on other side you have P block. In between you have this D block elements. So, there some of the properties are variety of oxidation states, which we call it as variable oxidation states, formation of colored ions, catalytic and paramagnetic properties. All this we are going to study in today's segments a little bit in detail. This was only given as an introduction in earlier parts. And finally, the last question, define enthalpy of atomization. So, what is atomization? It is the process where 1 mole of a compound is either completely broken or it is either brought together. So, for definition's sake, we can define that the change in enthalpy indicates energy. So, the change in enthalpy when 1 mole of a compound is been broken to form its individual specific atoms. So, these were some of the questions that we had in the earlier segments, and now let us talk about the next continuity part, which is nothing but ionization enthalpy. So, what is ionization enthalpy? This is something which you have come across in first year itself in the periodic classification, where suppose if we have an atom where it has a nucleus at the center, this nucleus at the center will naturally have some orbits present around it, and these orbits, as we know, have electrons in them. So, suppose if I have a D block element, and especially if I talk about 3D elements, we know that the electrons are in ns, which means 4s, and then 3D elements here. So, the distance between the nucleus and the last one, we have called it as atomic radius, which in the last segment. Now, what is ionization enthalpy? It is the energy required to remove this outermost electron from this system. That is what is called as ionization, because after the electron goes, it forms into an ion. For example, I have scandium. This scandium has an electronic configuration of 3D1 4s2. So, when I remove the first electron, I have always told earlier that Filling is by various rules like Aufbau principle, Hund's rule and all, but removal has to be from outside itself. And therefore, when I write it as Sc plus, now it is turning into an ion, and what is the configuration? 3d1 4s1. Therefore, we see that one electron is reduced. This energy required for this change, energy required for the change of this system to this system, we call it as ionization enthalpy. So, let us see how is the definition for this ionization enthalpy. It is nothing but the amount of energy required to remove an electron from one particular atom which is there. Now, in these cases what happens is, it increases from left to right in a periodic table, and the magnitude, that is the amount of energy, is very high for second and third ionization. Why it is so? Let us just discuss about it a little. So, now when we hear about this part which is there, as you go across in a table, we see that scandium has 21 electrons in it, which means that it has 21 protons also available. Go to the next one, scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, like this it moves on till 30. And the numbers also increase 22, 23, 24 and all. So, as it increases, we know that in the nucleus, the number of protons also increase. Scandium has 21 protons, titanium 22, vanadium 23. So, what is happening over a period of time is, more the number of protons, more the number of electrons, the attraction between proton and electron is getting high, because proton is positively charged, electron is negatively charged. No doubt that there is also neutrons present inside, but they do not give any charge for it. So, here what is happening now is, there is a force of attraction, and this is called as effective nuclear charge. So, what is this effective nuclear charge? The overall charge between these two species. So, as it goes about, naturally there is more attraction available, and because there is more attraction, you may need high energy to remove the electron. So, in a natural case, we understand that as we go, the energy factor will keep on increasing. Now, the question is about the first ionization, second ionization and third ionization. What is this factor now? Suppose I have scandium, its atomic number is 21, and I know that the configuration is 3d1 4s2. I know this configuration. Now, when I go to the second one, scandium plus, what does this mean? I have removed one electron. It means that this is 3d1 4s1. Suppose if I go for scandium plus 2, it indicates 3d1 and 4s0. I have removed another electron now. Then if I go further, scandium plus 3, 3d0 4s0. What do we mean by all these things is, the protons in these cases are same, 21 protons, 21 protons, 21 protons. All the cases protons are same. But what is happening to electrons? Here it is 21 electrons, 20, 19, 18. So, in this now we see that protons are same everywhere, you have not disturbed the nucleus, but what you have disturbed here is the electron setup which is there, which means that when you remove the electron here, this is called as first ionization enthalpy, because you removed one electron. This second part is called as second ionization, this is called as third ionization. At the start, there was an attraction between 21 proton, 21 electron. There was some sort of an attraction. But later on, 21 protons are attracting just 20, which means that the protons in the nucleus are attracting much stronger. 21 protons, 19, it means the attraction is much more stronger, and that will indicate that you need a very high amount of energy to remove further electron. Here it was 21, 21, but as you go forward, the attraction will be more towards the proton because of the higher numbers of proton. So, it is very natural that the second ionization enthalpy will be much more than this, third ionization enthalpy will definitely be more than this. So, these are the factors that we consider for ionization enthalpies. So, for this, now let us see what are certain values which are there for the ionization enthalpy. In this parts now, we see that you can just see those values. The number 1 which is there is written as 631, whereas number 2 is written as 1235, 1235. What does this mean? First ionization enthalpy is just 631 kilojoule per mole. Second one is almost double, 1235. Third one has increased by a similar quantities of around 900 kilojoules. That increase is because of this change that we are seeing. What we need to understand here now is, take a view of the horizontal line, 631, 656, 650, a minor decrease that is being seen. So, you will see that there is a continuous increasing parts which are there, but towards the fag end with cobalt, nickel and copper, the values revolve around itself because of the larger nature of these molecules. Zinc shows very high ionization enthalpy because zinc is highly stable. It has a completely filled d orbital of 3d10 and 4s2. In this case now what happens is, if you see the second ionization enthalpies and all, almost everybody is increasing, but what we see is there is a sudden decrease in manganese. Now, we will have to discuss why is there a sudden decrease in manganese systems which are there. Remember, we are talking about the second ionization enthalpy. Let me take the values for that. It is 1509. This is for manganese, and I want to know why this value has suddenly decreased down. Let me take the configuration of manganese, 3d5,4s2. This was supposed to be the configuration for manganese which was considered. After the first ionization enthalpy, it became 3d5,4s1. Actually, this was stable. It came towards instability. Now, when you employ second ionization energy, it is now going towards stability. This is towards stability. What are the stable factors here? Fully filled orbitals, half filled orbitals and empty orbitals which are there. Now, this comes under the study of half filled orbital theory. So, because it is going towards stability, energy required will be less. Always remember, whenever you go towards stability, you need not put more energy because everybody wants to become stable. But if you go towards instability, you may need high amount of energy. So, this is the explanation that we give for variations that we find in the cases of certain elements in nature. Let us see some further values now which are present there. If you see the third ionization energy, you will see that for iron it has decreased. Everybody it is increasing in a proper way, but for iron it has suddenly come down to 2962. Put the same theory there and analyze why it comes down for iron, because iron in the +3 state is going towards stability. So, these are certain theoretical practical values which we have, which are not from examination point of view, but to understand the variations that have been present. So, moving forward now, let us now just see aspect of the overall conclusion in this, where we saw that if we are going towards D5 or D10, the energy required will be much lesser. If we are going away from D5 or D10, which means that, for example, I have manganese which is 4s2 3d5. I have this for manganese. If I want to go to +2 state, it is 3d5 4s0. This is fine. For this you may need less energy. This was the +2 state. But if I have to go to +3 state, this becomes 3d4 4s0, which means that the conversion from this to this is an unstable state, instability. When you go towards instability, you will need very high amount of energy, because it was originally stable, you have to disturb that stability factors in that. So, these are certain points about the ionization enthalpy and its application in general sense. So, now having seen this ionization enthalpy, let us see another segment of this chapter, which is oxidation states. We know very well oxidation states are those which are formed by either removal of electrons or addition of electrons. Now addition of electrons generally give rise to anions, which are talked with respect to p block elements like fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, oxygen, nitrogen. All these people want electrons for stability. But metals which are there, they have a special case where they would like to lose electrons for their stability. So please go through the table that is present there. You are able to see that there are some light colored elemental oxidations that are shown. There are some dark colored species also which are shown. In titanium they are shown for +4, vanadium they are shown +5, chromium they are shown +3 and +6. What are all these are? These are the best possible oxidation states that are present in the compounds. It also means that other oxidation states which are shown can be possible in those compounds which are there. So this is more of a practical aspect, but what are the important factors that we have to study here, that let us see. In this table now you see a graphical point where you observe that the 4s and 3d orbitals energy wise are very near. The y-axis of the graph actually tells you the energy levels. 4s and 3d are very near, which means that there is always a possibility of jumping in those cases. And then you have a table where scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium till copper we have shown. Zinc we have purposefully excluded because it is not part of a transition element. You can see that the oxidation states are divided according to the electrons that are being presented in those cases. So what are certain important factors that we have to study here? Let us study about the stability of ions. They have taken two ions now, Ti4 plus and Ti3 plus, which is stable among these two. This is how they tend to ask in exams. So let us study the theoretical aspect of one of the compounds, and then maybe the manganese part you can answer by yourself. Let us see some parts now. Titanium. What is the oxidation state of this titanium? It can be +2, +3, +4. The question now is Ti +4 more stable or Ti +3 more stable? This is the question that has been put up. So first thing, electronic configuration, it is 3d2 4s2. This is the electronic configuration of titanium. In the +4 state, titanium loses all these 4 electrons. +4 indicate removal of 4 electrons. So this becomes 3d0 4s0. In the +3 state, we know very well that electrons have to be first removed from 4s. So therefore this is 2 electrons have gone. The third electron goes from the d orbital now, and that is why this becomes 3d1. So now the question is this stable or is this stable? We know from earlier theories that orbitals which have d10 which is fully filled, or d5 which is half filled, or d0 which is completely empty, these tend to show high amount of stability. And therefore when such compounds are asked, here we have taken only ions, but if compounds are asked, this will tend to show higher stability in their oxidation states. So I hope this is clear to you. So let us now once again see the compound which is there. They are given there that the titanium ion which is there will naturally be highly stable because of empty orbital. Come to the study of Mn+2 and Mn+4. There is another example that is shown to you. You are able to see that Mn+2 is in 3d5 4s0, which means it is half filled. D can accommodate in total 10 electrons, this is half filled, whereas 3d3 is not half filled. So naturally d5 systems which are there will tend to show higher amount of stabilities. So these are certain stability factors that we can study with respect to oxidation states. We will now see about the presence of bonding in these compounds. If you see the picture there, they say that they are given different compounds MnO, MnO2 and the ion MnO4 minus. They have given the corresponding oxidation states. I hope you know already calculation of oxidation states, where in all these cases oxygen is taken as -2. So Mn charge you are able to see +2, +4, +7. And they have said that the lower oxidation states have ionic character. As it increases, it tends to have covalent character. Now why this is so? This is something that is seen practically, but theoretically utilizing the chemical concepts we need to understand why the smaller oxidation states are ionic and larger ones are covalent. Let us see some concepts regarding our simple elements like carbon, oxygen and other cases. If you remember, we had compounds in this S block and P block elements where sodium would like to lose away 1 electron. Magnesium would like to lose away 2 electrons because atomic number is 12, nearest noble gas is 10. Aluminium would like to lose 3 electrons. Similarly, on the other side, nitrogen would like to gain 3 electrons, oxygen 2, fluorine 1, because they are more closer on the right side, they would like to take electrons and become stable. But remember, what was the case with carbon? Was it taking electrons or giving electrons? If you remember, your entire organic chemistry is based on the fact that covalent bonding happens in carbon because it likes to share electrons with others. So now here also, as the oxidation state is small, using this as the basis, let us talk with respect to the Mn ions that are shown. Mn plus 2 was the one which they showed, Mn plus 4, Mn plus 7. When it is just about removing 2 electrons, quite easy, you can put some energy and remove. But what does Mn plus 7 mean? You have to put so much of energy to remove all the 7 electrons, which is practically not possible. So therefore, the smaller oxidation states would love to have ionic because it is okay with giving away electrons, whereas larger oxidation states would rather prefer covalent bonding, which is sharing of electrons. Somewhere in between, they might prefer a little of ionic, they might prefer a little of covalent bonding. So this is one factor that we can understand depending on the oxidation states of the compound, where we can realize does it undergo ionic bonding or covalent bonding in nature. So if this is one aspect of this D block element compounds, let us see another aspect now which is there, which is about the stability of their oxides and their acidic and basic nature. Please go through all the 3 sets of compounds that are there. One is the chromium compound, another one is the set of manganese compounds, the other one is the set of vanadium compounds. These are the 3 sets of compounds that we are given, and you realize that as you come down, by coming down I mean by as we increase the oxidation states, acidity of these compounds are increasing. Go back to your theories of Lewis acid, Lewis bases and all that. So you will realize that those which are ready to give electrons will be basic, those which are ready to take electrons will be acidic. This was something that you have studied in the equilibrium chapter of first year. Whenever the oxidation state is less, we have already seen that they prefer ionic bonding. And what is ionic bonding? Complete transfer of charge. So that is why they will be basic, because they are ready to give electrons. But as the charge increases, if you have seen this part now, we have gone, as the charge has increased, we have gone more towards covalency, which means donation has reduced, sharing has increased. And because of that, because of higher oxidation states, we rather go towards more acidic nature. Question is, what is that amphoteric? Amphoteric is a state where it shows in between acidic as well as basic qualities in them. So this is the study of their acidity and basicity based on the oxidation states of these compounds which are there. So the general trend we have to know that smaller oxidation states are basic. As we go towards higher oxidation states, they tend to become more and more acidic in nature. So this is just a recap of all the things that we have seen, that oxidation states of these D block elements are having multiple states. If you had seen in the very first table, we have seen that manganese will have plus 7 because it has 2 electrons in S, 5 electrons in D, everything can be removed. So at the starting you will have some lower oxidation states, but as it increases, you will see that the oxidation states increases, and also towards the fag end, these oxidation states will be stabilized. So these are all about the oxidation states of compounds, and now let us see another concept, which is electrode potential. What is the potential? It is a difference in the voltage that has been seen, and we have taken the examples of titanium to zinc, where you see that only copper has a positive value. Look at the values on the y-axis. All the elements have negative values, copper has positive value. What is that 0 is? So in the electrochemical series that we tend to study in the electrochemistry part, we realize that electrode potentials are measured considering a standard of hydrogen which is taken at 0.0 volts. This is taken as standard, and considering this as standard, all other metals are been put up. It is seen that copper practically is giving a positive value, whereas all other elements are giving a negative value. So, what do you understand by this case? In this, we understand that whenever there is a change of components, we see that these positive values which are there, they cannot replace hydrogen, they cannot react with this hydrogen, whereas the negative valued compounds will definitely react with oxygen. So, let us see some properties of this. We will see the tabular formations of these, where in this tabular form now, the first column, or I should say the second one, is enthalpy of atomization. Next, the next two columns realize the ionization enthalpies, and then we have the hydration enthalpy. So, the more the ionization enthalpy, the difficult will be the electrode potential that is being seen in this compounds. For copper, it is a positive value that has come across. So, here also we have this electrode potential values which are being present, and when you see that M plus 2 M and M plus 3 to M plus 2, what does this mean? It means the first row values indicate the plus 2 ions that are being present. The second row indicates the plus 3 ions that are being present in this case. Now, we have to understand why manganese has a negative value in plus 2 state, whereas it has a positive value in plus 3 state. So, let us know this factor now for understanding the overall conditions in this case. So, let us see this part now in this conditions where negative and positive values realize the systems which are there. Let us also see the other values for a reference that you can see in some places there is positive and negative systems which are being shown. I already told you that positive system indicates that these are not favorable conditions which are there, which means that their potential is above hydrogen, they cannot replace other. Whereas minus 1.8 means a very high value and it is highly possible. Now, why it is highly possible is because once again the same explanations, Mn is 3d5 4s2, whereas Mn plus 2 is 3d5 4s0. Now, this is stable because of because of the half filled stable state. When I go to Mn plus 3, it is not stable, it is rather going towards instability. So, this conversion is not favored, that is what is told by the positive value of this. What does positive value of copper mean? It means it cannot replace the hydrogen which is there, whereas all other metals can replace. You react copper with hydrochloric acid, it will not show a reaction, but react any other element like zinc, scandium, titanium, anything, they will show the reaction. So, similarly here positive value indicates that it does not prefer to go to plus 3 state, it rather prefers to be in plus 2 state. So, this is about the study of the electrode potential. They have shown how manganese and zinc are having a pretty much high value because of the half filled stability and fully filled stability in their plus 2 state. So, moving further, let us see some halides of this 3D metals which are possible. Which are the halides here? They have just shown, and they are given some notations there. We know very well that fluorine is highly reactive, iodine is pretty low reactive. So, when we do a general study, halides generally stabilize with bromides or chlorides in nature, and when you see through all the periodic table, you are able to see that all the compounds are able to show certain set of halides only, not all. So, especially one thing that we must observe here is that Mn is showing only up to Mn4, but we realize that Mn can actually have an oxidation state up to plus 7. So, what does this mean now? Mn halide is only up to Mn4, but we know that Mn can show up to plus 7. Now, this is because the formation in this case, the highest possible halide is a combination of oxygen and fluorine. You may not find a compound MnF7 overall. This is not possible because the stability of 7 incoming fluorine to the manganese is difficult to manage. In the next chapter which we see coordination chemistry, we will realize that the maximum number of people attacking a metal can only be 6. This we will see in the next chapter. So, that is why This is not a possibility, but if you want a combo of a compound with oxygen and fluorine, then that is a possibility. So, this is what we see about the stability of halides. In this case, we see that various stabilities are seen. So, the maximum halide is shown by chromium CrF6, which is quite natural because chromium can show up to +6 compounds. Similarly, you just see about the copper systems. Copper can be seen in +1 state and +2 state. So, in these two again, which is the preferred one, we see many salts of this +2 compounds which are there. That is because of their stronger stabilities which are seen. So, if this was about the halides of the 3D metals, the next one is about the oxidation states of these, which uses oxygen. And this is about the oxides. You can see scandium only single oxide, because scandium can be present in +3 state. There are some other compounds which are there. Just a small note about the mixed oxides. So, what does mixed oxides mean? That there is a combination of two. Please observe that iron part, where in iron it is having FeO and Fe2O3. So, what are those oxidation states? That let us just see. Iron, if it is in +2 oxidation state, then it can become like this something, and if you stabilize this, it will become FeO. If I consider iron in +3 state, oxygen in -2 as usual, this will be Fe2O3. So, this is two compounds. The lower oxidation compounds end with the name OUS, ferrous oxide. Higher oxidation compounds end with the name IC, ferric oxide. So, what do we mean by mixed oxides? It is nothing but combination of these two oxides. So, together it is going to form Fe3O4, Fe2O3, FeO. Together these two have formed Fe3O4. So, this I explained as an example, but you are able to see some other mixed oxides also, like Mn3O4, cobalt compound also you are able to see. So, these are certain oxides that are stabilized in these compounds which we see. So, this is a complete study of the ionization enthalpies, oxidation states, and also the electrode potentials in this case. So, I hope you have been able to understand all these parts, and we will see the further physical properties in the next segment. Thank you. Sai Ram.